Welcome back everyone to my Let's Play of the Final Fantasy Legend 2. In our last episode, we had just defeated the first mini-boss, the TianLung, the Heaven Dragon, got its meat, and P was able to transform from the King Crab into Genbu, the Black Tortoise, one of the four fiends from the first Final Fantasy Legend. So if you haven't seen that, Let's Play, it's on my YouTube channel here, so check it out. Genbu was the first of the four fiends. You had to defeat him to get the access into the tower to heaven. In that game, your party was climbing this tower that's said to basically lead to heaven. So, in this game, I have characters named after three rats and one mouse. In that game, I had the characters were named after Princess Prin. She was one of my rats, so her name was. So I had Prin, Cess, Prin, and Prin, and she was named after the princess from Ghosts and Goblins, and I thought it was like, I guess, I don't know, she's princess because I guess Prin is kind of a shortened form of princess, and I thought it fit Princess Prin, my rat, because she was shortened because she was special needs. She actually lost her tail in some accident. So, and tails were kind of important for rats. They basically function, they help keep the rats balanced, and they also are their heating and cooling system. So, their tail has no hair on it, so when they're cold, what they do is the blood vessels in the tail constrict, and then the blood passes through the tail, and it gets, friction, heats up, and then when it gets back to their body, it warms their body up. And then when it's when they're hot, because the tail doesn't have any hair on it, they can when the blood goes through the tail, it cools down where their body is covered in hair. So that when the blood comes back into their body, it's a little bit cooler and cools the rat down. So, yeah, tails are very functional for rats. But like I said, Princess Prin, she didn't have one, so I adopted her with her best friend, Princess Sarissa, who is still with me. Prin unfortunately passed away. Heart issues. Princess Sarissa's still here. She's the one who does the Final Fantasy 4-job fiesta. So she's already done 2 of them, so yeah, she's a pretty old rat. At the time of this recording, she's 3 years, 2 months, which is my oldest living rat ever. Most rats only live 2 to 3 years on average, so yeah, she's definitely an old lady up there, so she's basically 95, and she's still getting around pretty good, so she sometimes had a little trouble breathing a little bit, but she hasn't had any other issues with like my 2 boys, Arthur and Durf, who I also adopted from the same rescue as Princess Prin and Princess Sarissa. They both have hind end degeneration, so I spoke about that a little bit in the last episode. So Arthur was named after the knight in Ghosts and Goblins who rescues Princess Prin, and Durf was named after kind of a spin on one of my old rats, Fred. So, I need you to help me later. Save your energy. So, fine. Isis gets some new dialogue every few screens you pass through. Speaking of new stuff, P ate that Hydra meat and finally became the Dagon Crab. So, that'll be P's final form. So, we'll check out P's abilities here. We've got added basically the wall ability, so that hits all the enemies on the screen, and there's no protection from it, so even if an enemy has like the all ability, the P will still be able to damage it with the wall, so that'll be good when we fight the Honeywa monster, because that has the wall, so it'll give P a decent way to damage it, so. Because like I said, magic tends to overshadow physical attacks, but P has some high strength and has some physical attacks to use, so. Paranail Tusk has the W Pincher, which is standard for all the turtle enemies. So, there's the motor sword. I know I was mentioning for previous sword weapons where they come from. This one doesn't come from mythology, but it comes from the book series by Michael Moorcraft. He's an English Michael Moorcock. He's an English author, and he has a series of books, Elric of Melibone stories, and it's basically an alternate world and with magic and high fantasy and stuff like that. And there's kind of these race of demons that can turn into swords, from what I've read, the summary of the books. And one of them is called the Mournblade, that one of the characters uses. So, basically a magical sword. So, and here we have the second mini-boss monster, Fenrir, which is named after the son of Loki, a wolf, who is destined to kill Odin, the chief god of Norse mythology, during Ragnarok, which is basically their version of like the end of the world. So, of course, Fenrir won't be able to defeat Odin because we already did that. Security system works as an arsenal for when there is an emergency. So, and that's I guess a good name there, Arsenal, because that's actually going to be the name of the security system when we actually fight it. When we fight the final boss, it won't be called security system; it'll be called Arsenal. That Arsenal enemy is going to be at the end of the maze in the next section. So, but before we go there, there's a few monsters that we can only encounter here in this like stair type section of this final area. So, yeah, once we fight that Fenrir through the door there, that'll take us to the central maze. But it's not really a hard maze. Isis basically gives you the solution to it, so it's not necessarily the most direct solution, but if you follow her guidance, you'll eventually get to the end of the maze. So, but we want to finish farming enemies in this area here before we move on to that next area. So, yeah, there's still a few more monsters here that we haven't got to yet. Got some more stats there too. Linus got some mana, Vincent got some hit points. Have to see how our hit points are doing there. Yep, Linus is already maxed out, 999, and Vincent's 700. He's lagging a little bit behind, but mutants, of course, always have lower growth rates and everything than humans, except for defense, which, thanks to a bug, humans can't get. But a mutant can get defense by using shields or shield-like, if it had shield-like abilities like the Aegis Magi, or also the defense sword. Using the defense sword can actually raise a character's defense or a mutant's defense. So, yeah, it's a bug. Humans can't get their defense, but it's also a bug that the mutants can't gain strength. So, of course, our mutant Vincent gains strength by using the trash can glitch. So, that's why at the end of the game, when I do the max stats, you'll see Vincent has 99 strength. But I'm not going to be using any strength weapons with him, so that would be kind of cheating. So, yeah, only use that glitch to satisfy my obsessive compulsiveness. So, speaking of mutants and Vincent, I'm going to have a link to potentially doing a donation for Vincent. Vincent was a therapy rat, and he's being nominated for the 2022 Pet Partners Pet of the Year. It's a competition to can raise money for fundraising, so I'll put that a link there. So if you're watching this and you want to support Vincent, go for it. So yeah, he did a lot of good work. You know, most people think of therapy animals as, you know, dogs, cats, but yeah, some people are, you know, little kids or, you know, even older people might be scared of, you know, dogs or cats made from a traumatic experiences, you know, kids and or earlier in their life. And well, that's where other animals like Vincent, a rat, can come in. So, you know, Vincent did a lot of stuff for reading. So we allowed like kids who might have had trouble reading to be able to read to him. And, you know, he was obviously a non-judgmental, you know, audience. So they got to just read to Vincent, practice their skills, their reading skills. You know, and Vincent just got to hang out with them and get nice pets and treats and stuff like that. And so yeah, helped kids' confidence up. And I think reading is very important. I'm an English major, so and I do a lot of reading at work. So I work as an editor with the Coast Guard, so I read a lot of stuff. And so as a kid, I always used to like to read too. I read a lot of Star Wars books. They were my big thing. So pretty much read all the Star Wars books up until the New Jedi Order. So the whole Vaughn came in. Well, yeah, then Disney bought it out, and they basically uncanonized all the old Star Wars novels. And I didn't like it when they got to the new stuff that they were doing with they had all different authors working on a series of books. Like the Vaughn had like multiple books, maybe like 20 some, and they were all written by different authors. And you could see the little agendas that each of them were putting in there. So yes, it hurt the cohesiveness of the stories, I think. So some author would be developing one of their characters really, really big, and then the next book, that character that was built up, you know, was basically disappeared, and you wouldn't hear from them, and you're like, okay, what was the point of building that all up? So and you had to wait like several books until the next author came up and basically shoehorned in their favorite character. So yeah, it was kind of annoying how they did that, but I guess that became a theme with recent Star Wars. They didn't seem very well planned out. I think that was one of the bigger critiques of the new trilogy with J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson. Stuff that plot points that one director did in one movie were ignored in the next movie, or shoved to the side, or retconned. It was pretty crazy. So I was the biggest Star Wars fan ever, and then all of a sudden, you know, that Last Jedi just totally ruined it for me. So I didn't even end up seeing the final one, the Rise of Skywalker, because between that and the Force Awakens and then the Last Jedi, they just both left bad tastes in my mouth. So well, I guess the good thing about it, even though sometimes you have as you grow up, things that you loved growing up kind of get ruined or changed too much, but I guess one good thing is you always have the old things you can go back to. You always have the old classics. So like all these old video games that I'm playing. Yeah, I just decided one day that, you know, it's like, hey, I'm gonna go through all my old video games and play them to completion. Just a little testimony. So because I don't really play all the new games. The last system I got was the Wii, and I got that because one of my friends who I was living with at the time, she really wanted it, and I basically got it for her. So she ended up with a guy who's a really big gamer. He does a lot of computer gaming. So they've been together for like 10 years now. So I can say it's because of me. So yeah, it was really funny. She was still living with me at the time. The first time they had a date together, she gets back from the date and she's like, I was like, how'd it go? And she's like, oh, I don't know, it was terrible. And I was like, well, you know, first dates always tend to be bad, you know. You're all nervous and, you know, give him another chance. She's like, okay, I'll give him another chance. And boom! They're engaged to be married. And there's my phone! Oh no. But, wow. But we're almost winding up on enemies here, so... I think these might be some of the last groups, so... There's gonna be a lot of new enemies, though, in the next area, though, so... But don't worry, we will encounter them all, so... I'm surprised that middle guy, the SS, obviously named after the, you know, the Nazi groups, the Nazi, like, secret police, that got through. Nintendo was very strict with their censorship, you know, back at the time, so... Usually censored out most things of, you know, politics, religion, so... I'm sure they probably could have come up with something else to name that character, but... Oh well. So... Like most, human enemies, they can drop stuff. Here's some of the stuff they can drop. The laser sword, Vulcan, fire gun, missile, tank, execute an army armor. Nothing really all that good, but if you're hurting on weapons, the tank could potentially probably be the best thing. Remember, the tank does about 600 damage just to a group of enemies, so that can pretty much two-shot any of these big group of enemies. And it actually functions as a shield as well, so it blocks melee attacks. Speaking of melee attacks, Linus got a few strengths a few times, and he is doing a little bit more damage there with that rune axe. So here we are. Go to the left and head upward. This is the final section. It's final little maze. And we'll solve it in our next episode and finish clearing out the bestiary. Take care, have a good one. Thanks for following along. Bye.